Hello.
Then. Now.
Countdown to the queens.
Episode number 500.
Forever.
Looks like hell froze over.
Without any more further ado,
Together.
let's jump straight into the show. Hello. We're here for episode number 102 of the TEW9 Challenge Run. We are here for the Royal Rumble 2025 for Saturday the 1st of February 2025. We're a couple of weeks removed in real life from where I'd wanted to be here, but it's better late than never, of course. Rumble season is upon us, and we have quite a show in store for you tonight, including 3 World Championship matches. CM Punk defends against Cody Rhodes, Warden defends the ECW World Championship against CSJ. Bobby Lashley defends the World Heavyweight Championship against Ilya Dragunov. On the women's side, Jade Cargill defends the WWE Women's Championship against Tiffany Stratton. Utami Hayashishita defends the Women's World Championship against Asuka. Ruby Riott defends the ECW Women's Championship against Liv Morgan. And of course, the 2 Royal Rumble matches, where tonight we will find out which man and which woman punched their ticket to WrestleMania 41. So without any more further ado, let's jump straight into the show. Big hype. Some of our top stars across both Royal Rumble matches, shown in this video package. Plus, of course, Punk and Cody, because that is the biggest championship match. In another world, that could have main evented this pay-per-view, but, I love to have the Rumble going on last. There's also definitely a world where the Women's Rumble went on last over the men's this year. And actually, as I was building... after last year's Rumble, I literally sat here and went, I'll probably have the women's main event next year, but that's not the case, obviously, for a number of reasons. John Cena's last Royal Rumble, Daniel Bryan's potentially last Royal Rumble, who knows. But yes, we are on the road to WrestleMania, and we kick off the show with the Women's World Championship match, Utami against Asuka. Not 92. Oh, fuck me. Let's go, we take that. So, 24 hours ago on SmackDown, Utami took a stiff knee strike to the face from Shayna Baszler, and it bloodied her nose. It broke her nose, basically. And there are a number of reasons I did that. Mainly because, it cements Shayna as a threat. But most importantly, Utami's wearing one of those protective face masks, like the old undashing Cody Rhodes mask here. And... as it looks like Asuka's about to win, she goes to spit the mist at Utami, but the mask does help, protect Utami a little bit from the mist. So, she wipes it off, and she does use... Because technically the mask it's not a foreign object. It's part of her shtick. I remember once that it was the WrestleMania match of Cody and Ray, and, Ray took Cody's mask off and started headbutting him with the mask on. They were like, oh, that's not a DQ because that's part of his, ring gear. So Utami will, start headbutting Asuka with the mask on, which is a little bit nefarious, but technically, in the rulebook, all legal. And, eventually, he does put Asuka down with the hijack bomb to make defense number 4 of the Women's World Championship. 94 for Utami, 95 for Asuka. So here in SoFi Stadium, 62,000 people, okay? That's a big-ass fucking Rumble. But, yes, Utami does pick up the win to kick off the night here at SoFi Stadium. After the match, though, she stands tall, she holds the championship up, Asuka starts getting to her feet, and Asuka sort of gets in her face, she's like, hey bitch, you cheated, you only won because of that mask. And Utami sort of just laughs her off, she shoves Asuka back. And then Asuka goes to kick Utami again. She rocks her, and the two get into a brawl once again. And it does end with Utami coming out on top. She goes to the ringside. She knocks Asuka out. She grabs the steel steps, and she tosses the steel steps into the ring. She drags Asuka's corpse into the ring with her. And she wipes out Asuka with that what's become that patented Queendom move of, placing Asuka's head on the steel steps and railing a steel chair across her skull. And Asuka is laid out. Utami stands tall on top of the steps, holding her championship up, big smile on her face. Probably blood coming out of her nose, because I imagine that the wound would have been reopened at some point in the match. Pointing up at the WrestleMania sign. Statement made here in the first match tonight. We then, of course, cut backstage, where we see Adam Pearce, Nick Aldis, Bobby Roode, and Ava Raine standing around as the respective hosts of This Is Tumblers. Of course, Ava and Pearce guarding the women's tumbler, Nick Aldis and Bobby Roode guarding the men's. And they go, ladies and gentlemen, it is officially Royal Rumble season. The tumblers are now open. Superstars may now enter and pick their numbers for tonight's Royal Rumble match. And then Adam Pearce walks up to the door and opens the door, and guess who's waiting there already? But Becky Stardust. Because I was waiting for you to open this door. Come, Bird Girl. We've got important business to attend to. And her and Lyra walk in, and they are the first two people to draw balls out of the tumbler. They both take a ball out. And they open their balls up at the same time. And read their numbers at the same time. Like, the shot is, Becky on the left, Lyra on the right, just, looking at their numbers. Lyra is ecstatic, but Becky is disgusted. She doesn't even say a word. She just sits there and stares at her number in disgust. And Lyra goes, oh my god, yes! Oh my god, yes! Becky sort of just side-eyes Lyra, and she goes, so what number did you get, Bird Girl? She goes, I got a really good number. She goes, you're not going to show me? And Lyra goes, yeah, sure, here you go. And she hands a piece of paper over to Becky, and Becky, looks aghast, but she takes the paper. And she grabs the ball that she pulled out of the tumbler and, just throws it across the room and smashes, a plant pot or something on the other side of the room. Obviously startling everybody in the room, and, Lyra turns her head around to see what the noise was. And then Becky quickly swaps the two pieces of paper around, and she, just tuts and starts shaking her head, and she goes, you're really happy with this? Lyra goes, of course I am. It's a great number. It's literally... And Becky goes, it's not a great number, Bird Girl. Do you know how the Royal Rumble works? And Lyra goes, but it's... And she takes the ball back and she looks at the number and she goes, but what happened to... And Becky goes, I think you're going insane, Bird Girl. I know we're going through a lot right now, but maybe you're having visions. The stress is getting to you. But go back to our locker room, go have a lie down and a drink, okay? Because... you're coming in fairly early in this match tonight. We need you rested up. And I goes, but it said. And he goes, enough, Bird Girl, off you go. And she escorts her out of the room. And then Kiana James walks in. She goes, I'm here on official CEO business. Becky goes, oh, are you? Okay. Well, my good friend Sasha Banks, we go way back. So you can tell her that I look forward to seeing her in the Royal Rumble tonight, provided that she's actually still in the ring when I get out there, because I've got a pretty good number. And she walks out, and Kiara just watches Becky leave, and she walks up and she pulls Sasha's number. So yes, the tumbler ring has begun, and there's already some nefarious shenanigans going on in regards to Becky's number. 90! That right there is why Zach got the match, mainly. Even though technically, Warden got 90 and he got 94, so he did outscore Warden. But yes, Warden does manage somehow to ground ZSJ. He hits him with that big powerbomb in 13:28, and he makes defense number 4 of the ECW World Championship. 94 for ZSJ, 90 for Warden. War a match. ZSJ, your typical Royal Rumble challenger. He did pick up some wins. He was coming off the Ali wins, and he beat Sheamus, and he beat somebody else. But he's your typical, old school Royal Rumble title challenger, where they're not right at the main event level, but everybody else is in the Rumble. But yeah, he did well. He took this spot, he ran with it. I enjoyed the material he had, and yeah, we'll see where both of these men go heading forward. But Warden walks out still ECW World Champion. We then cut back to the tumbler room, and Jericho's in there. He pulls out his ball, and he goes, I know what you want. You want me to open this right now and gauge my reaction, but I tell you what, you never know what scumbags are watching me pull this ball out and reading my number and my expressions, because they know I'm the biggest threat in this Royal Rumble. So I'm going to take this back to my locker room, and I'm going to open it up in my locker room and not give away a damn thing to any of you people. Bye, guys. And Daniel Bryan walks in. He goes, Chris, great time tonight. I'll see you out there, hopefully. It'd be great to run it back, you and I, in what could be my final Royal Rumble match, and what could also be your final Royal Rumble match. Jericho goes, it's not going to be my final Royal Rumble, because I'm not like you, I'm not weak like you, and I'll never retire. See you out there, kid. And he walks off. Brian pulls his number out, and he opens it up, he looks at it, and he goes, okay. He doesn't give anything away, he just sort of shakes his head and walks off. And that's when Candice walks, she goes, well, busy night for all of you people here tonight, I'm sure. You've had a lot of people coming in and, talk your ear off and you pulled the Royal Rumble numbers out. I just think it's funny how, Io and Koa are back there, she's getting ready for this big Royal Rumble match. But Asuka, she was left dead to rights tonight. Didn't see Io coming out to help her best friend because she doesn't actually care about Asuka. She only cares about herself and winning this Royal Rumble. But unluckily for her, she's not winning this Royal Rumble because I'm in it, and I'm going to make sure she doesn't win this Royal Rumble because I'm the only person around here who sees things the way they are. Okay? I'm going to stop Io, and I'm going to save the women's division, okay? There's not a damn thing. I don't care if anybody here disagrees with me. And then we hear a voice to like, you know what, you're so right. And Kevin Owens walks in and he goes face to face with Candice. He goes, I've been seeing what's going down on SmackDown right now. Io and Queendom, their rulership over that division of yours, it's not good, but you're doing what has to be done, Candice. Just like I'm doing what has to be done because the people need a hero like myself, just like they need you to step up, whether they want you to or not. Everything you said was correct, and I have full belief that tonight, you and I, we're going to win these Royal Rumble matches. And then Sami Zayn and Bianca Belair walk in. Candice turns around, she locks arms with Bianca, she just groans. Obviously a lot of history there between these two. And Bianca's like, Candice, girl, it's been a long time, huh? It's great to see, you finally sticking up for yourself. And, not being walked all over, you see, because this year's going to be my year to win my second Royal Rumble match. Because I should have won my second Royal Rumble match last year, but some selfish bitch decided to go into rage mode and cost both herself and myself the Royal Rumble match. It was a whole thing, Candice, it happens. Because, well, maybe if you weren't such a bitch in the lead up to that Royal Rumble match, you wouldn't have had so many enemies and people out for your head, just like Io does tonight. Okay, maybe that bitch is going to do the same thing this year, but you need to make sure to stay out of her way because she won't have forgotten everything that you put her through. And then Candice storms off. And then in the background, we see Kevin's like, okay, Sami, so here's the thing. Okay, you've been over on SmackDown. I've been seeing you, Bobby Lashley, he's that world champion. You've got every right to take that championship from him. That championship's got your name on it, Sami. But here's the thing. I also need to become the ECW World Champion. So tonight, how about you and I, we run this back, we become best friends once again for one night only. And we work together, we take out the field, and one of us wins the Royal Rumble match. So he goes, Kev, it's every man for himself out there, Kev. He goes, I know, but it doesn't have to be. You and I can work together, Sami. And Sami just laughs and goes, see you out there, Kev. And he walks off, and he goes, Sami, was that a guess? 78, sure, calm little match. Not really like blow away, but it is what it is. Neither of these women have like incredible like psychology and shit, so had to script in, make sure we covered everybody's weaknesses. But yes, Jade Cargill does retain in 11:02 to make defense number 3 of the Women's Championship. 81 for Jade, 79 for Tiffany. So they're basically on the exact same level. And yeah, just nice little Women's Championship match. Low key, kind of the calm down before the next match, which is the Women's Royal Rumble. But before then, we see the tumblers. We get a shot of the tumblers. There's 4 women's balls left, and there's 2 men's balls left. And they're tumbling around, they're rolling the balls around, and that's when Cammy walks in, and she goes, "Evening, gentlemen, Ava," and she walks up and she just takes all 4 of the balls out of the tumbler, and Peter's like, "Excuse me." She goes, "What?" She goes, "You just took every last ball out of there." She goes, "Yeah, I know. We need this many balls. When you've got as many potential Royal Rumble winners as I do, you need this many balls. You snooze, you lose, I'm afraid." And Cammy walks out. That's when Chelsea Green walks in with the rest of JF. He goes, I'm telling you girls, I counted it. There's 4 balls left. Every single one of you can take a ball and enter the Royal Rumble match. See, look, here's the Women's Royal Rumble tumbler. And as you see, there's... Where are all the balls? And pissed, like, Cammy just came in and took the rest of them. Chelsea goes, but that can't be true because our girls haven't taken their balls yet. And Pierce just sort of shakes his head and he goes, well, they're all gone. Mackie goes, no, I haven't taken my number. And Bobby Roode goes, yeah, about that. And she just grabs the empty tumbler, tosses it across the room and goes, ah! And she walks out. And Chelsea goes, well, now look what you've done, okay? And she walks out. There, in the chaos, John Cena walks in. You know, he's doing his John Cena facial acting, like looking shocked at what he's seen. And I go, well, look who it is. The last time is now. John Cena, his final Royal Rumble match. Cena goes, you guys didn't leave me much of a choice. And he takes one of the balls out. He goes, I just want everybody to know, whatever number this is, it doesn't matter. Because either I win the Royal Rumble match and I go on to WrestleMania and become number 17, or the better option, I don't win the Royal Rumble match, because that means somebody has stepped up and taken their road to WrestleMania in their own hands. That isn't me. And for the sake of this company and this industry, that will be the better outcome. So I'm gonna find out tonight if this next current generation has what it takes to step up after John Cena is out of here, or if they should all be ashamed that they can't do it as well as I can in my final year. And he walks off. He goes, wow. Whenever John Cena starts speaking, you just have to listen. Yeah, well, there's one ball left. You know, you just need one more person to show up. And Bobby Roode goes, actually, we should probably keep a hold of that ball, because we're waiting on somebody. And Adam Pearce goes, oh, you can't just, you know, keep a ball reserved. And Bobby Roode goes, no, trust me, we have to keep this ball reserved, just in case. Speaking of balls, what the fuck was that segue? Kiana James walks into Sasha Banks' office, locker room. She goes, CEO, I've got you your ball. She goes, well, it's about damn time. The match is just about to start. Okay, give it. She opens the ball up and she reads her number. She goes, is this a joke? Kiana goes, no, I got you your ball. She goes, well, take it back and go get another one. Kiana goes, I can't, they're all gone. That's your number, Sasha. Why? What's the issue? Sasha just goes, can't you do anything right? She walks off. And Kiana's like, well, I got you. Asked me to go get you your ball. Pick your ball yourself next time, bitch. Rumble hype. The first Royal match of the night is upon us. The Women's Royal Rumble. Here are some of the, the heavy hitters in the match. Bayley, Bianca, Candice, Charlotte, Dakota, Julia, Io, Nova, and Sasha. And a whole lot more. 30 women. Only one of them gets to go to WrestleMania. Well, that's not technically true, but right now, only one of them gets to punch their ticket to WrestleMania. Let's find out who it's going to be. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble match. Now in this match, the two superstars who start number 1, and number 2 will start in the ring at the same time. Entrants will enter every 90 seconds based on the numbers that they drew earlier on this evening. This will continue until all 30 superstars have entered the match. Now the only way to be eliminated is to be thrown over the top rope with both feet landing on the floor. The last remaining superstar in the ring will be declared the winner of the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble and will earn a shot at one of the Women's World Championships in the main event of WrestleMania 41. So that's why she was so frustrated at Kiana James earlier tonight. The $1 Million champion, Sasha Banks, she draws the short straw here. She enters at number 1 and, still swaggers her way down to the ring, but you can tell, she's a little bit pissed off and stressed out that this is her entry number. It'll take a lot to win from this position. It has happened before, obviously, entrance number 1 and 2 have won. In fact, Rhea Ripley 3 years ago won from number 2. Which, speaking of number 2, Sasha Banks gets in the ring, she hands her belt over, shakes her glasses off, and she awaits entrant number 2.
Role model.
Well, it's a familiar old foe at number 2, last year's WrestleMania main event winner, Bayley, looking to get back to the main event this year with a Royal Rumble victory. As she comes out, she's smiling at Sasha, she waves at Sasha. Sasha looks annoyed at Bayley's presence. The bell rings and Sasha and Bayley stare down at each other, either side of the ring. They're both Bayley's grinning, Sasha, she's trying to hide her grin, but you can tell she's like, yeah, this is pretty sick. They do lock up in the center of the ring. Bayley overpowers Sasha, sort of tosses her to the floor to start with. And Bayley's like, yeah, see, I gotcha. And then they lock up again. And this time Sasha gets the upper hand. And she's like, yeah, see, I gotcha, bitch. And Bayley sort of nods, gives a nod of approval at Sasha, like, okay, yeah, we still understand each other. But yeah, they stall it. And then entrant number 3 makes her way out.
All hail the queen.
Well. Entrant number 3 is another 4 horsewoman. 2020 Royal Rumble winner Charlotte Flair, looking to become the first ever 2-time Royal Rumble winner here tonight. Charlotte enters the ring as she faces off her 2 former rivals. The history of these 3 needs no introduction. This is 75% of last year's WrestleMania main event. Charlotte, Sasha, and Bayley will start mouthing off to each other, and then Charlotte drills in 4 strikes on Sasha. Sasha fires back. Bayley joins the fight, and the 3 women stand there. They exchange strikes. Everything comes to a standstill. All 3 women, on their feet, just looking around at each other. And the countdown begins for entrant number 4. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for. The arrival of the one, the only, Becky Stardust, will take place later on this evening. Well, it was too good to be true. It's not Becky Lynch at number 4, but rather it's Bird Girl, Lyra Valkyria, instead. Lyra enters the ring, she climbs right up to the top rope and she flies into the match with a big crossbody, taking all 3 women down. She fires herself up before she tries to get the elimination on Sasha, but Sasha clings on to the top rope. And Lyra's trying to hit her off, but Sasha clings on. Charlotte and Bayley, they get into it on the other side of the ring, Bayley surviving an attempted elimination from Charlotte. No eliminations take place, and then entrant number 5 makes her way out. For ECW, it is Naomi. She makes her way down to the ring. She rushes to the ring and she starts taking it to Sasha Banks. You know, a woman she has her own history with. Naomi takes down everyone in the ring, and fans in LA are getting all fired up. They're feeling the glow as Naomi claps them on. She tries to get the elimination on Charlotte, but Charlotte fights her off. She sends Naomi over the top, with Naomi landing on the apron. She kicks Charlotte away as she tries to eliminate her. She re-enters the ring. You know, a nice avoided elimination there by Naomi. No more eliminations take place ahead of entrant number 6 entering the fray.
Bow down to the queens.
From Queendom Omega, the former ECW Women's Champion Julia enters the Royal Rumble at number 6. She immediately comes into the ring. She rushes Charlotte, starts laying her out with a stiff knee strike. She ends up dropping everybody in the match with big headbutts, you know, leaving them all laying, and suplexes and just, you know, her stiff Julia trademark offense. And then she ends up targeting Lyra for elimination. Lyra clings on, and, you know, Julia attempts to, wear everybody else down, and Charlotte gets up and starts fighting her off. You know, another uneventful 90 seconds pass, and then entrant number 7 makes her way out. Chase U's Thea Hale enters at number 7. She's a big ball of energy. You know, there's a lot of big name former world champions in that ring right now, and you know she's out of her depth really. But she does immediately leap onto Julia. She starts delivering a big Fez press to the Queendom Omega member, and she gets up. She drops Lyra. She drops Naomi, and she starts shaking the ropes and getting all fired up. She goes, "Yeah, chase you." She then goes for a clothesline on Naomi. Naomi goes over, but lands on the apron again, and Naomi pulls Thea Hale over, and they both fight on the apron. But they do manage to both fight their way back in. No eliminations, and yeah. Still no eliminations in this Women's Royal Rumble match. Everybody seems to be on the same playing field right now. And entrant number 8 makes her way out to the ring. As one half of the Women's Tag Team Champions, Roxy Perez of the New Millennium and The Antidote makes her way to the ring. She enters the match and she immediately drops Thea Hale with a stiff forearm. She tosses Thea over, but Thea skins the cat, and as Roxy tosses Thea over, she immediately turns around and locks eyes with Bayley. Roxy immediately charges at Bayley, running shots in on her, dropping over big pop rocks. And she starts gloating about it, going, "Yeah, bitch, that's right, I took Bayley down. Okay, I'm better than her." She turns around and Charlotte just boots Roxy in the face. And she's like, "Yeah, bitch, you're not better than me, though. I'm the damn queen." And then, you know, Sasha gets up to her feet, tries to take the fight to Charlotte. These two have a lot of history. We get a little bit of mini Sasha and Charlotte again. You know, it's been a while since we've seen that one-on-one because they were both the heels heading into WrestleMania last year. Charlotte tries to get her over the top. Sasha manages to fight off, and you know everybody else is recovering. The buzzer sounds, and entrant number 9 makes her way out. Our first Royal Rumble match in 3 years. Ember Moon storms to the ring with intent. She immediately climbs the top rope and she drops Naomi with the Eclipse. You know, Naomi would sell that like death. So yeah, let's have her nail Naomi with that. Ember then locks eyes with Julia, you know, member of Queendom Omega, a group who she's had her history with, and she's been trying to help, you know, Dakota and Candice and all of them fight them off the past few months. Her and Julia get into a brawl in the middle of the ring. Everyone else is still regaining themselves. Ember does drop Julia down eventually. She goes to the top to try and hit an Eclipse, but Sasha gets up. She tries to shove Ember off the top, but Ember sees her come and hops down onto the apron, and she instead, you know, turns her attention to Sasha Banks. springboarding off with a big springboard dropkick, taking Sasha out, kicking her halfway across the ring. And all the women regain their composure as we await the entrance of number 10. A third of the way gone by. There's still no eliminations in this match, but yes, we're now a third of the way through.
Bow down to the queens.
Golden Phoenix
Is
Entrant number 10 arrives, and Julia now has backup. It's another member of Queendom Omega, Saya Kamatani. The scrappy Phoenix rushes to the ring, and she immediately jumps on Ember Moon, taking her down. And then she spots Julia in the corner. She's going at it with Thea Hale, and she takes Thea Hale down, and Julia helps take Thea Hale down. And then the two members of Queendom Omega eliminate Thea Hale. She's the first elimination of this match. Sorry, Colton. Saya and Julia turn around, and then Ember Moon's back on her feet. She's face to face with both of them. She throws a forearm at Saya. She rocks Saya with a big forearm, and then Julia fires back with a forearm to Ember Moon herself. And then Ember and Julia just keep getting into it. They collide at the same time with stiff forearms, and then both women fall down. And then elsewhere, Roxy, she's up. She drops Naomi again, and then her and Bayley get back into a brawl. Bayley and Roxy brawl. Bayley trying to eliminate Roxy fighting out Sasha Banks. She's going at it with Lyra, while everybody else is resting and recovering as entrant number 11 makes her way out. Roxy Perez now also has backup. It's her, the other half of the women's tag team champions, Cora Jade, makes her way down to the ring. And she immediately jumps on Bayley, coming to the aid of Roxy. She picks Bayley up, she nails that double underhook DDT before she helps Roxy to her feet. And the tag team champions begin double teaming Bayley. And they both pick her up and try to eliminate her, but Naomi comes to the aid of Bayley. And then Cora and Roxy turn their attention to Naomi. They double team Naomi before they do work together to eliminate Naomi from the match. Cora and Roxy mock Naomi, yeah, that's what you get, bitch, for trying to help Bayley, okay? And then they go back to work on Bayley. They just get heat on Bayley for, the rest of the time. And then entrant number 12 makes her way out. The LA crowd erupts. It's AJ Lee making her return at number 12. We haven't seen her since November, when she was attacked by Cora and Roxy upon them joining with CM Punk and the Antidote and forming, this alliance. AJ gets into the ring and she stares down with Cora and Roxy, and they both smile upon seeing AJ. Hey, AJ, come on, let's cover truce, okay? We're sorry for what we did, okay? You'll come help us get rid of Bayley. And AJ sort of thinks about it. She's like, okay, yeah, let's do that. And then all three women do help pull Bayley to her feet. But then as they do that, AJ grabs Roxy from behind, tosses her over the top, eliminating Roxy Perez. Roxy looks on an angle on the outside, and Cora gets in AJ's face going, what the hell are you doing, huh? We extended that olive branch back out to you. And then she's grabbed from behind by Bayley, and Bayley eliminates Cora Jade. So the tag team champions both out of it now. Bayley and AJ, they sort of share a look at each other after eliminating the tag team champions, who are both, losing their minds outside. They can't believe it. There is a lot of history between Bayley and AJ, but tonight, it seems, at least, they're united. Sasha and Julia then jump Bayley and AJ from behind. They lay them into the mat before entrant number 13 makes her way out.
bow down to the queens.
The match comes to a standstill as the Liberty Champion, Queendom Omega's Megasis, marches her way down to the ring. Julia and Saya's expressions, they change, and they start smiling from ear to ear as they await the arrival of their dominant stablemate. Megasis enters the match, and as soon as she gets in, Sasha immediately like, stop. And she turns around, Julia and Saya are there behind her as well. She's like, okay girls, come on. I got an idea, okay? Why don't we work together to take care of everybody else, okay? And then, like, she pulls money that she's got wedged in her gear. And she's like, look. And she hands it to Julia. And Julia sort of, like, picks it up, sort of, like, looks around at it, like, holds it up to the light. And then she's like, hey, Saya, look at this. And Saya leans over and has a look at it. And then Julia, she gives Sasha a big thumbs up. She's like, yeah, great. And Sasha goes, great, let's go. And then, of course, she switches it to a thumbs down. And the Megasis wipes Sasha Banks out with a big lariat. And then she picks up Sasha and she eliminates the $1 Million champion. One mid-card champion eliminating the other. Ember Moon immediately gets the jump on the Megasis after she eliminates Sasha. She, like, jumps on her back, starts raining shots in on her. Megasis shoves her off and it's, like, into the waiting arms of Julia, who holds Ember in place. And the Megasis wipes her out of another huge lariat. And then all three of the Queendom Omega girls triple team Ember Moon before they send her to the showers next. Megasis, Saya, and Julia then come face to face with AJ and Bayley. You know, they worked together to eliminate the tag team champions earlier, and like they give each other another look and just a nod of respect before they charge in. They take the fight to the two smaller members of Queendom Omega, and AJ ends up getting the better of Julia, and like Megasis picks up Bayley, just throws Bayley into AJ to like send her down. She pulls Julia to her feet. Saya's still around here as well. And the Queendom Omega girls parade around the ring, taking in their dominance as entrant number 14 makes her way out. With Tatum Paxley out next, she rushes down to the ring and she immediately slides in, like, at the feet of the three Queendom Omega girls who were stood there waiting for her. And she, like, looks up smiling and she's like, offers a hug. She goes, friends! The friends I've been looking for! She goes up to Julia, she gives Julia a big hug. And, like, she sort of just awkwardly turns to the camera, giving a confused look, like, meh. And she looks up to the Megasis. Megasis nods at Julia. She pulls Tatum Paxley off and she wipes her out with a big boot. And she then picks up Tatum, and she eliminates Tatum Paxley from the match. Queen of Omega continue their assault on the match. They lay into Lyra, and Charlotte then gets to her feet. Charlotte and the Megasis get into a big face-to-face, and they throw big stiff forearms at each other. Charlotte throws the first, and actually rocks the Megasis for the first time. Like, she's actually taken something in this match that's, like, actually rocked her. But Julia and Saya see this, and they immediately cut Charlotte off. Julia dropping her with the Gloria driver, and then like the Megasis slowly begins to regain herself, her composure, ahead of entrant number 15 making her way out.
I don't care what y'all say. It's time to rock and roll. This time I'm in control. Right now on the streets, keys to the city. That's 'cause I get down.
The arena erupts as WWE Hall of Famer Trish Stratus makes her way to the ring at number 15. Trish gets into the ring and she squares up to Julia. And Julia starts like mouthing off back to Trish. She's like, leave, okay? You don't belong in here with us. Trish just laughs at her. She's like, okay, I'll leave. And then she goes to leave. But as she does, she turns around. She drops Julia with a chick kick to a huge pop. The Megasis just glares a hole through Trish after she kicks a hole through Julia. And Cyrus there like checking on Julia as she's down on the ground. But the Megasis, of course, charges at Trish again. She wipes her out of another big lariat. She picks Trish up, hits a huge choke slam on Trish before she just picks her up and she dumps the Hall of Famer out of the ring to a loud chorus of boos. The Megasis stares down at the fallen Trish on the outside of the ring, just shaking her head. That's when she's ambushed by all four of the other women in this match that aren't from Queendom Omega, that being Bayley, Lyra, Charlotte, and AJ. And they like all attempt to dump her out of the ring. Saya sees this, she tries to stop it, but Charlotte like gives her a spear. She takes out Saya Kamatani before going back to work on the Megasis's elimination. And like they get one of the Megasis's feet off the floor. Like it seems like she's finally starting to budge as all four women try and get her out of the ring. That's when entrant number 16's music hits.
Bow down to the queens.
Right in the nick of time, it's the final Queendom Omega representative in this Royal Rumble. Yoko Uehara makes her way to the ring and she immediately starts helping out the Megasis. She like gets into the ring, she pulls off Bayley, she pulls off Lyra, and like as the numbers dwindle, the Megasis ends up fighting her way back into the ring. Julia gets back up, she yanks AJ away, hits her with a big stiff headbutt, Saya doing the same to whoever was left, Charlotte, I guess. And then Megasis fights her way back into the ring, and then we've got the quartet of Queendom Omega. They turn their attention to AJ and Bayley, with the 4 women overpowering the 2, working together to eliminate both women from the match, with the Megasis and Saya eliminating Bayley, while Julia and Yoko eliminate AJ. The crowd boos as Queendom Omega clear the ring of 2 more fan favourites, and Julia just takes in the reaction. She starts laughing. She's like, yeah, see, bitch, it's ours. It's our Royal Rumble. And then the countdown begins to sound for entrant number 17 as Queendom Omega parade around the ring, soaking in the boos from the audience. Crowd erupts. Number 17 makes her way out. It's the former Queendom leader, Io Sky. Io storms her way down to the ring, and the Omega girls are all in there just waiting for Io. She immediately hops onto the apron. She flies in with a big springboard drop kick, like staggering the Megasis back. She ducks an incoming strike from Julia, takes her down with a drop kick of her own, and she starts kipping up and firing the crowd up. As she gets to her feet, she then charges at Saya with a big lariat, sending Saya Kamatani over the top to the floor, to a huge reaction. Io lets out a scream of joy as she eliminates Saya, and Julia gives a very shocked face at the camera like, oh fuck. But Io doesn't really have much time to rest because she's immediately jumped by Yoko, and the Megasis aids Yoko in her assault on Io, and the Megasis picks up Io. She delivers a huge choke slam to her, and Julia's like, okay, pick her up, get her out. And Yoko and the Megasis attempt to eliminate Io, but Io clings onto the ropes. She fights off the Megasis. She grabs her feet around the neck of Yoko Uehara, pulling her out of the ring and to the floor, eliminating another member of Queendom Omega to a big pop. Saya's on the outside, trying to grab Io as she's on the apron, trying to grab her ankle and yank her to the floor, but Io just kicks her in the face, gets herself back into the ring and starts exchanging strikes with the Megasis. 2 more Queendom Omega members left to go, but Io is up shit creek right now against the Megasis all by herself. Well, would you look at that? She's here. Kairi Sane is number 18, another arch rival of Queendom Omega. We haven't seen her in weeks since that attack at the hands of Queendom Omega to close out SmackDown a few weeks ago. Kairi immediately rushes into the ring and gets into the face of the Megasis. And the Megasis shoved Io down and she's waiting for Kairi to get into the ring. And Kairi gets in her face and the Megasis obviously shoves Kairi back. And Kairi reacts to the shove, shaking her head. She rocks the Megasis with a stiff as fuck back fist. And that stuns the Megasis. She starts staggering backwards. Kairi then rocks another huge back fist, staggering her back even more up against the ropes. And then Kairi bounces off one rope, charges, nails a huge clothesline, and single-handedly eliminates the Megasis from the Royal Rumble to a huge reaction from the crowd. Kairi screams in the face of Megasis on the outside, yeah, bitch, fuck you. And Julia gives an even more shocked face to the camera. She can't believe that the Megasis, her meal ticket, is gone. But she then gets the jump on Kairi, trying to grab her and toss her over. But Io fights off Julia. And then the Sky Pirates, there's Julia's in the middle, there's one side, one the other side, and she starts trying to plead with them. Io throws a punch at Julia. She staggers back into Kairi, who sends a punch to Julia, and she staggers back to Io, and they ping-pong her around for a bit before both women grab her and eliminate Beautiful Madness, finally bringing an end to Queendom Omega's run of dominance in this match. Io and Kairi embrace in the middle of the ring, and they fend off an oncoming attack from Charlotte, but Charlotte does manage to take Kairi down, and her and Io get into a fight, just bringing a match back to its prior state, as number 19 enters the ring. Entering number 19, it's ECW's Kelsey Cook in her second Royal Rumble appearance. Her chilling presence brings everyone to a stop as the match calms down after a series of big eliminations. She enters the ring. She gets into it with Bird Girl, who has been in this match for a very long time at this point. Charlotte attempts to eliminate Io, but Io manages to slide down her back, fighting her off. The match is still sort of regaining itself following the dominance of Queen of Omega. No eliminations occur before number 20 makes her way out. For NXT, the current NXT Women's Champion, Deonna Purrazzo, enters at number 20. Deonna takes her time getting down to the ring. She hands over her jacket and title to a referee at ringside before she gets in and immediately jumps on Charlotte, the two of them getting into a fight. Io and Kairi sort of regroup in the corner as Kelsey and Lyra continue their fight. Charlotte does take down Deonna Purrazzo with a big boot, and no more eliminations occur before entrant number 21 makes her way to the ring. Great reaction for the former Women's World Champion, who was looking for one more chance to regain her championship. Of course, she lost it in Auckland because of that Money in the Bank cash-in. She lost it Cyber Sunday because of Candice LeRae's interference. And she also lost at Saturday Night's Main Event because of Io and Candice again getting involved and distracting her. But now she's coming out here with a purpose. She power walks her way down to the ring, where she's greeted by Charlotte Flair. Dakota and Charlotte have a face-off, and Charlotte actually shows some respect to Dakota. This is their first time in the ring together since Auckland. Dakota sort of accepts, Charlotte offers a handshake out, and Dakota accepts her handshake before she throws a forearm strike to initiate a brawl between Charlotte and Dakota, which ends with Dakota taking Charlotte down with a big scorpion kick before Deonna Purrazzo jumps her. Deonna attempts to ground Dakota, like cutting off her momentum, but Dakota does manage to fight her off, and they end up getting into a fight on one side of the ring. Kelsey and Lyra still going at it on the other side. The rest of the women down and, regaining themselves as number 22 makes her way out. Another former world champion, Nova Nebula, makes her way out number 22. She's looking to regain that championship from Jade Cargill, the woman who took it from her. Nova was actually the first woman to announce and declare herself for the Royal Rumble. And she rushes into the ring and she immediately jumps on Charlotte, with a purpose. Almost like she's got a problem with Charlotte. She starts just raining shots down on her in the corner before she actually is able to quickly get Charlotte up and dump her out, eliminating the Queen to a kind of a big reaction because Charlotte is gone. She then turns around, she takes the fight to Io. Kairi helps Io fight her off, and the Sky Pirates again use their double team moves to ground the former women's champion. Charlotte on the outside is getting to her feet now. She sort of just looks into the ring at Nova, shakes her head in disappointment with her own performance, and just walks to the back. And not like Charlotte to do that. Normally she's a bitch when she gets eliminated from these things. Elsewhere, Lyra and Dakota, they're going at it, as are Kelsey and Deonna. Just some attempted eliminations going on, some skinning of the cat, and number 23 makes her way out. For ECW, it's Blair Davenport. She's been through hell recently. She had that recent, what stipulation did you pick? Was it a strap match? Yeah, with Florence back at Cyber Sunday. We haven't seen Florence since then, but Blair Davenport is here looking to to get that championship from Ruby Riott. And she immediately gets into the ring and jumps on Kelsey. She range strikes down on Kelsey before she does eliminate the House of Black member from the Royal Rumble. Blair celebrates her quick elimination of Kelsey Cook before she gets into it with Lyra, who is now the Iron Woman since Charlotte has been eliminated. Well, not the Iron Woman, I guess, yet, but the longest lasting currently in the match. Lyra manages to take the fight to Blair. She drops her with the Nightwing before Deonna quickly grabs Lyra. She attempts to eliminate Lyra, but Lyra clings onto the ropes like a little bird. She avoids elimination. The rest of the women sort of catch their breath. There's no reason to get into a fight right now, as entrant number 24 makes her way out. Flanked by Aaliyah and Zelina Vega, it's Fatal Influence is Fallon Henley at number 24. She swaggers her way down immediately. Like, she keeps her hat and her big coat on as she makes her way down onto the apron, and then she tosses the hat at Deonna, and then, like, throws her coat over the top of Deonna Purrazzo, blinding her, and then she gets into the ring and she tosses the blinded Deonna over the top, cheating to get a quick elimination, but big brain, I guess. Fallon celebrates her elimination before she bumps into Io, who takes her down with a big uppercut and a series of strikes, welcoming her to the Royal Rumble in the hardest way, but Io then goes up for the over the moonsault and nails it. A risky move to hit in the Royal Rumble, but she does it anyway. Nova then gets into it with Io. They get each other's faces. They have a little strike exchange, and Nova actually ends up getting the better of it. And Nova and Belair then get into a hard-hitting affair. You know, just big fights all over the gaff. No eliminations, and number 25. The inaugural Women's Intercontinental Champion, and is at number 25, immediately taking down both Nova and Blair with a diving crossbody. Stephanie taunts for the crowd as Io appears behind her, and the two women then get into a face-off, Lever laying a hit on the other as Nova and Blair regain themselves, taking both women down. Nova and Blair sort of form like a temporary alliance, stomping every other woman in the match, you know, keeping Dakota, Fallon, and Lyra grounded. Standing on tall as entrant number 26 makes her way out. Blair's expression suddenly changes as last year's Royal Rumble winner makes her way to the ring. First time she's appeared since the loss to Blair at Cyber Sunday, and she immediately takes down Nova with a huge clothesline for locking eyes with Blair. Blair attempts to rush at Florence, but Florence counters it into a massive rain flow before she picks up her former best friend and tosses her out, eliminating her from the match. But Florence has no time to celebrate as she's immediately jumped by Nova. Nova and Florence brawl as Io gets into it with Fallon Henley, as Fallon calls for Aaliyah and Zelina to enter the ring, which they do, because, you know, there's no disqualifications in a Rumble. The three women ambush Io, Kairi, and it's not enough. You know, there's Io and Kairi, the only two of them. There's three members of Fatal Influence. But that's when Fallon is jumped by Dakota Kai, who's evening the numbers. Io takes down Zelina Vega, Kairi takes down Aaliyah, and finally Dakota eliminates Fallon Henley. Dakota looks down at Fallon on the outside before she slowly turns around, locking eyes with Io and Kairi on the other side of the ring. For the first time in this match, these two are face to face. Dakota and Io have a face-off, each like mouthing off to each other, as the buzzer sounds for number 27. Very appropriate. Candice LeRae enters the match, number 27. This is the number she won from 2 years ago, and she storms her way down to the ring as Dakota and Io continue their face-off. Io is gesturing to Candice, like, come on, get your ass in the ring. And as soon as Candice enters the ring, Dakota turns to her, and she's like, no, stop. But Candice shoves Dakota straight to the side, and immediately drops Io with a big forearm. Like, just mounting her, starts raining big forearms on Io on the ground. Kairi pulls Candice off Io, and she, like, shouts at her. But Candice also drops Kairi with a big forearm, and she picks up Kairi, tossing her over the top to a big chorus of boos. Candice then gets in the face of Dakota. She's like, what are you doing, okay? Io's been here the whole time, and you just let her, okay? You didn't even look at her all match. Dakota's like, well, I'm trying to win for myself. But Io then grabs a hold of Candice, like, turns her around, and they get into another brawl again, you know, just scrapping with each other. Dakota steps in, you know, she, like, helps Candice take down Io. And Candice like, yes, thank you so much for finally being of help, okay? And then Florence drops Dakota Kai, and she gets into it with Candice. The last two Royal Rumble winners here going at it in the match, with Candice taking down Florence. She sort of gets up, and she's very exasperated as number 28 makes her way out.
I'm on my own, against the wall. The pressure's building, but no, I will never fall. Instead of crying, they hear me roar. And now I see that I'm way better.
Another former Royal Rumble winner on her way out. It's Bianca Belair, and Candice mood drops even further. You know, her former op, long-time op, Bianca enters the ring, and she immediately gets in Candice's face, like smiling at her, like, "Hey, Candice, you know, it's been a long time." And she just shakes her head and spots Io getting to her feet, and Io gets to her feet standing alongside Bianca Belair. And Candice's anger grows as she stands across the ring from her two biggest ops. She rushes at Bianca Belair, but Bianca takes her down, and then Bianca and Io do end up going after each other. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ring, Stephanie Vaquer and Nova Nebula are fighting it out against each other, and Stephanie manages to eliminate Nova Nebula from the match. The rest of the women all rest. They're catching their breath as number 29 makes her way out. The arena suddenly goes cold as snow starts flying out from the entryway. New music hits, and out from the snow walks Alexa Bliss, dressed in an ice-themed attire. She takes the time walking down to the ring as everyone waits for Alexa to get in. She enters the ring and goes face to face with Stephanie Vaquer, with Alexa eventually dropping the Intercontinental Champion with a code red and eliminating her. Alexa then turns her gaze to Bianca, another woman who she got into it with prior to her, departure a couple of months ago. Them two get into a fight in the middle of the ring, taking each other down with strikes. They both fall down. Florence is the one who gets to her feet. She stands tall, the only woman on her feet, as the countdown sounds for number 30 to make her way out. I mean, not that we don't already know who it's gonna be. And now, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. Please, on your feet, for the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble winner, the one, the only, Becky Stardust. Becky's music hits. She makes her way out. Ton of pyro, pomp and circumstance, all that shit. And she's shaking hands with everybody on her way down. She's signing autographs on her way down to the ring. And she stops at the bottom of the ramp. And she, takes her sweet-ass time, taking her jacket off, her glasses off, warming herself up, prepping, before she gets into the ring, where she's immediately clotheslined out and eliminated by Florence. Becky lets out a scream of terror as she hits the floor in disbelief. And she gets up, she's like, "Hey, Bird Girl! Bird Girl!" And she started fighting off with Florence. She actually drops Florence with a Nightwing. And Lyra sort of looks annoyed. She's like, What? What, Becky? And she goes, Come on, drop out, let me take your spot. And Lyra's like, "No, I'm not sure that's how it works," and no anyway. And then Lyra turns around, and Bianca clotheslines Lyra out of the ring, and she's finally eliminated after an incredible run. Becky sort of just looks down at Lyra on the floor at her feet, just shakes her head. Eliminated after 50 odd minutes in the match, and she's like, "See, Bird Girl, that's what happens, you don't listen to me, and this is what happened. Now you've ruined this match for the both of us." And she pulls Lyra to her feet, and she's like, "Come on, to the back." And Lyra looks back, and she's confused, what the hell, you, okay, sure. And then Becky wraps her arm around Lyra, and they both leave. And Bianca turns back around, and she starts getting into it with Dakota. She hoists Dakota up for a KOD, but Candice grabs Dakota's leg. She pulls her off Bianca's shoulders before her and Candice then work together to take down Bianca. And Candice and Dakota, they dap up. And Dakota's like, "Hey, look, here comes Alexa." She drops Alexa Bliss with a scorpion kick, and then Dakota and Candice work together to eliminate Alexa Bliss. Candice then sees Io leaning up against the ropes, and she charges at Io, but Io sort of drops down, pulls the rope down, so sends Candice over the top, but she manages to land on the apron. Io nails Candice with a big uppercut, which sort of groggies Candice, but before she can fall down, Dakota manages to catch her and pull her back into the ring, saving her in this match. Florence is attempting to eliminate Io at this point, and Io's like trying to fight Florence off, and she does manage to wrap her legs around Florence's neck. She pulls her over the top and to the floor, and last year's Royal Rumble winner has been eliminated. Io re-enters the ring, and she takes to one of the corners. Her and Bianca Belair get to their feet, each on one side of the ring, with Dakota and Candice together on the other side of the ring. Candice gets in the face of both the other women, like mouthing off at them both, shoving them away, before a big four-way brawl gets underway. Candice grabs Io, attempting to throw her over, but Io manages to counter it. She sends Candice onto the apron. Bianca attempts to knock Candice off, but she manages to fight back, and she shoves Bianca back, and Dakota wipes her out of a scorpion kick, sending her down. Io and Dakota then get in each other's faces, with everything there between the two. And that leads to Dakota. She grabs onto Io. She tosses Io over, but Io again lands on the apron. The same apron that Candice is currently on. And, all four women are catching their breath. And Candice sort of turns to her left. And she sees Io also on the apron next to her. And she sort of sees red as you see her slowly getting to her feet on the apron. And Dakota doesn't notice this. She sees Candice, like, no, don't. But Candice sees red. She charges at Io. But Io slides back into the ring, and Candice just charges headfirst into the ring post. He smacks her head against the post, stunning her, and then Io slides into the ring. She nails a drop kick, and she eliminates Candice LeRae. Dakota watches on, head in her hands. Candice basically just eliminated herself from this match for the second straight year, actually, because she did that with Bianca last year. But, there's no rest for the wicked in this match, because Dakota turns around and Bianca is there. She hoists Dakota Kai out for a KOD, but, Dakota lands on her feet on the way down. She lands on her feet, hits a big kick to rock Bianca. Io is now back into the fray, her and Dakota. Their first uninterrupted fight of the match, really. Dakota ends up taking her down with the go-to kick, attempting to eliminate Io. She tosses her over the top rope. But as she does, Candice re-emerges on the apron, and she's trying to help Dakota eliminate Io. And Dakota sees this. She's like, no, what are you doing? And she's like, come on, well, why you stopped? Okay, we can get her. We can get her out right now. And Dakota goes, I don't want to do that, okay? I want to win this fair and square. If I'm going to win the Royal Rumble, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble. And Candice's like, I understand that, but sometimes it's better not to play fair, okay? We have the chance to get rid of Io now and stop her winning this Royal Rumble, and you're going to throw it away. And then as they're arguing, Bianca springs back to life. She grabs Dakota and she tosses Dakota Kai out, eliminating her. Dakota looks frustrated on the outside. She looks over at Candice, just shaking her head. And Candice again realizes that she fucked up, but Dakota sort of gives her the cold shoulder, just angrily storming to the back. Candice chases after her, trying to apologize, but Dakota's like, no, you've ruined it again. Okay, this is the third time. And, your hot-headed attitude is getting us nowhere. Okay, now look at it. We both lost. And she just storms to the back. And Candice sort of stops and lets Dakota walk away. The camera shot has the WrestleMania sign looming in the background as we see Candice's sad face as Dakota storms off. She turns back around, she gives one last look at the ring, with a big, angry stare, shaking her head. Her two ops still in that match. But she does have to leave and go to the back. Meanwhile, both Io and Bianca pull themselves up to their feet. The two women, they stand opposite each other, different corners of the ring, and they both sort of pause and look around, taking in the crowd reaction. Familiar territory for both women here. For Io, she reached this far 3 years ago, but came up short. Bianca, she got here 4 years ago and won the whole thing. Can she become the first two-time Women's Royal Rumble winner, or will Io win her first and punch her ticket to WrestleMania? We're about to find out right now. Io and Bianca jockey for position, Bianca getting Io up against the ropes, but Io fights her way back in. The two then have a mini match of sorts, because it's Io and Bianca, they can do that. She takes Bianca down, she goes up top for a moonsault, but as Io comes down for the moonsault, Bianca kicks her out of the air. She then quickly scoops Io up and she nails a KOD in the center of the ring on Io Sky. She picks her up, she tosses her over the top, but Io hangs on to Bianca's braid to keep her feet off the floor. I know this is a spot you'd have to practice a lot, but I've got faith that they could do it. Maybe even if one of Io's feet hits the floor, that's fine. It would actually probably be a better visual that way. But Bianca's hanging over the top, and Io's hanging on because she's got a hold of Bianca's braid. And Io slowly she takes a seat on the Like manages to like get a seating on the apron of the ring, but she's still got a hold of Bianca's braid, and she keeps pulling it down, and she manages to pull Bianca over the top and onto the apron using her braid, and yeah, they're both now perilous on the apron. They sort of know that this is it, basically. Someone's going out right here. Bianca attempts to smack Io with her braid, but Io manages to duck it, like slides under. She grabs Bianca Belair for German suplex. She nails the German suplex on the apron to Bianca Belair, and Bianca tumbles off the apron to the floor. She's eliminated, and Io Sky wins the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble. 84 for a Rumble that's actually not that bad. And it has remembered my elimination order. I was worried it wasn't going to, because it definitely didn't before on something, but yeah, this definitely looks like the right elimination order to me. Yeah, it is. Nice. So that is pretty sick. But yes, one thing about this game, for some reason, is I can no longer set who gets the most eliminations or who lasts the longest, but it was obviously the Mega Sis who got the most, and Bird Girl was the Iron Woman. But yeah, Io Sky victorious in the Women's Royal Rumble match. She will go on to WrestleMania to wrestle whichever women's champion of her choosing she wants to face in, I think it's 11 weeks, 77 days, at Allegiant Stadium. The road to WrestleMania has officially begun, with, Io winning the Royal Rumble. Who'd have thought? I can say this now. Like, when they did the Real Women's Rumble, and, they had Bianca and Io get eliminated in that big cluster, that fucking dog shit spot that I still get angry at every time I see it on my timeline. And it was just, there was this clip of like Io and Bianca just flailing and getting eliminated to like no fanfare, and I watched that, I was gonna share that and be like, this is like the best possible advert I could have for my Rumble, where I knew they were the final two, and like all the comments in the last couple of days when I said who do you think's winning, it's gonna be Io or Bianca. I was like, yeah, bitch, that's how you fucking do it. God. But yes, sign point, the pyro goes off, bang, 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 bang. Io Mania is indeed upon us in 77 nights. Another 90. Bobby Lashley comes out on top against Ilya Dragunov with a spear in 14:27 to make defense number 1. First defense, really? Huh. Weird. Of the World Heavyweight Championship. 79 for Lashley, 93 for Ilya. So Ilya actually did do the carrying here, but, Bobby, I think, in terms of, like, actual stats in the game, I think he is declining, so he's kind of washed, but I had to get the title reign on him, and, so it was now or never, and then if it was never, I'd fail the goal. But yeah, Bobby does pick up the win over Ilya. Another World Championship loss for Ilya, but trust me, in the future, this 2025 is going to be a big year for him. He spent last year being sort of out of the tag pit, or out of the wild card picture by being in the tag picture. So like once the tag team stuff is over, he can enter that wild card picture again. Speaking of, after the match, Bobby Lashley, he keeps the Hurt Lock locked in on Ilya. Ilya's gonna fade. When out rushes Randall Keefe. He's back. He comes to the ring, he clotheslines the fuck. I imagine Ricochet's out there, just Ricochet, because he can take the bumps better than Damon Kemp and Ronnie Hughes can. And Ricochet comes to meet Randy. Randy wipes him out of a big clothesline. He gets into the ring, he drops Bobby Lashley. He starts slapping the man. He's going for an RKO on Bobby. Bobby slides out of the ring away from Randy, but Ricochet does not. He eats the... Oh, actually, as Lashley slides out, Ricochet's on the outside, he goes, I'm going to get him. He hits a big springboard. He tries to springboard attack Randy, and he catches him out of midair with an RKO. So, yes, Randall Keefe is back. He helps his tag team partner, Ilya Dragunov, to his feet. And it seems like the Hurt Business's issues with RKO may not be over just yet. $69. Kathy Kelly has a gimmick that's getting stale. Okay, sure, whatever. We're in the Oakland position, they call it now, and Kathy's like, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my guest, the 2025 Women's Royal Rumble winner, Io Sky. And Io comes in like she's so happy. She's like panting heavily after a long match. Kathy goes, Io, congratulations, you managed to overcome the odds, win the Women's Royal Rumble match. Now, of course, we're 11 weeks away from WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas, and you will be in the main event on that show. Have you given it any thought as to which champion you want to challenge at WrestleMania? And then before Io can say anything, Cammy sort of just walks into frame, and they have a stare down. And Cammy goes, well, congratulations. I just want to make one thing pretty clear. You saw what happened to Asuka tonight. We took out Kairi. She's back now, apparently, but we can drop her again at a moment's notice. So if you want to be smart about things, you can go over to Raw. Leave us alone. You can challenge Jade Cargill. You can go over to WCW, challenge Ruby, or Liv. But if you want to stick around here on SmackDown, if you make that shot, if you listen to your heart over your head, you're not even going to make it to WrestleMania. Because nobody on SmackDown wants you there. You know, we can take you out in an instant. Because we're stronger now than we've ever been before. But congratulations. I'm going to root for you to take Jade down. I hope. And Io just sort of glares at her as she leaves. And then the interview doesn't happen. Io is like shooketh. 88. Something about broken clocks. Liv has actually done really well in this feud. I know she scored a 75 and Ruby scored a 91, so she carried her. But like, in terms of like singles match performances, Liv's been doing really well, and her stock has improved coming out. She doesn't win the championship, but her stock has improved coming out of this, definitely. Also, I'm slightly less down on Liv now than I would have been a month ago, because, you know, Io carried her to some good matches in real life, so I know she can be carried. 75 for Liv, 91 for Ruby. But yeah, fun little story, fun little feud, and, you know, I guess it's bumped Liv stocks a little bit. She's no longer going to be a jobber, Colin. You're welcome. Hype video for the WWE Championship match. CM Punk, Cody Rhodes 2. The SummerSlam rematch, the semi-main event here of the Royal Rumble. The circumstances are a whole lot different than they were at SummerSlam. Let's see what happens right now. 99. Let's go, baby. Yeah, I've not got a whole lot more to say about this match. You know, it's Punk and Cody 2. It's the sequel to the SummerSlam main event. That one had a lot more tension. Like, yeah. So I had a lot more to say about it. This one is just the WWE Championship match. It's a fucking banger. It's a 99. And Bronson Steiner. Remember when I said after Netflix that his feud with Cody is over, but not really? Well, he's back. And he spears Cody Rhodes again. And CM Punk, you know, Cody gets tossed into the ring. And Punk crawls into the cover. And he scores the pinfall over Cody Rhodes to retain the WWE Championship. 97 for Cody, 93 for Punk. What a match. And CM Punk is still the WWE Champion. He's eked out yet another win thanks to his heavy Bronson Steiner. After the match, Punk is celebrating. You know, he walks to the back of the championship over his shoulder where he's greeted by Kathy Kelly. And she goes, Punk! What did we just see out there? Because what we just saw out there, Kathy, was me once again being steps ahead of every single person here in this company. Okay? They thought Big Bronson was out of the game after Netflix. That ain't gonna be the case. I knew we had to keep a weapon like that hidden in the shadows and wait till the perfect time to bring him out. And we brought him out right now, Cody. So, That's Cody Rhodes. Out of my hair. I never have to worry about him being the savior of WWE ever again. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go back there. I'm going to get changed out. I've got this Royal Rumble match to watch. I'm going to be up in my skybox checking out who is going to go to WrestleMania and hopefully see if anybody steps up to challenge me. And there is the hype video. Men's Royal Rumble. Some of our top faces in this match: Daniel Bryan, Drew McIntyre, Gunther, Jacob Fatu, Jay White, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, John Cena, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn. Yeah, we've got a whole lot more. And let's see who is going to WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan enters what is potentially his final Royal Rumble match. He's not been able to ever pick up the victory in the Rumble, you know. Over the years, that's been the spark of a lot of controversy. This could be his final chance. Not for sure, like it's for sure John Cena's last chance, but, you know, it could be with his full-time career wrapping up. Will tonight be the night that changes? This is his final countdown. He stands in the ring, and he awaits entrant number 2. The coin drops. The Rainmaker, Kazuchika Okada, is in the Royal Rumble. He gets his usual entrance, you know, the money's falling from the ceiling, the bell rings, and he and Bryan go face to face. These two men have faced each other. They have one win apiece over each other. Bryan winning at SummerSlam in the Tokyo Dome in 2023, and then Okada getting his win back at Wrestle Kingdom 18, also in the Tokyo Dome, 6 months later. The crowd goes insane as these two all-timers go face to face. You know, the two men lock up. Okada gets the better of Bryan. They lock up again. Bryan comes out on top, you know, just like Sasha and Bayley did at the start of the Women's Rumble. Both men struggle for control. You know, they grapple for a bit because it's Bryan and Okada. And then, yeah, entrant number 3 makes his way out. Number 3 is one half of the ECW Tag Team Champions. It's main event, Jey Uso. He comes with the crowd, he's yeeting with the fans in attendance. You know, 60,000 in SoFi Stadium, yeeting along with Jey. But he gets into the ring and he gets into it with Bryan. He takes Daniel Bryan down with a big punch. You know, gets a big yeet from the crowd. He then turns around into an Okada dropkick. He drops Jey Uso, and then Okada would do a mocking yeet of his own, which would get a big pop from the crowd, of course. He then gets into the action with Bryan and Okada almost getting elimination. Well, Okada almost eliminating Bryan. No eliminations do occur, though, as entrant number 4 makes his way out.
I am the Learning Tree!
Entry number 4 is the Learning Tree himself. Chris Jericho comes down. He walks to the ring, he's waving to the fans, or he pauses at the bottom of the ramp. He takes his jacket off, he readies himself, he waits for the perfect opportunity, he slides in, and he drops Jey Uso with that Judas effect. And, the crowd boos them as Yeet Man gets taken off his feet, and he starts waving, going, "Hi guys, you're welcome." He turns into the waiting Okada, who grabs him from a Rainmaker. Jericho manages to duck it, and Jericho takes Okada down. He then sees Daniel Bryan fly in with a running knee, but Bryan's knee misses as well. He accidentally knees Okada in the face, and Jericho also gets the jump on Bryan. He maintains control here. He's the one man alone on his feet, taking down, 3 greats as he waves around in the crowd, all smiles, going, "Hi guys," as number 5 makes his way out.
We bring the boom. That's what we do. We bring the boom. We bring the boom to you. We bring the boom. We bring the boom to everyone.
It's Big Boom AJ making his way out on number 5. And he gets into the ring, he goes face to face with Chris Jericho, and Jericho looks less than pleased to see Big Boom AJ in the Royal Rumble. Jericho goes to punch him, AJ blocks it, he rains his own punches down on AJ, going boom, 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 before he drops him with a big spine buster. Big AJ has the crowd on its feet, and he goes to tease, hitting Jericho for the power boom. He grabs him in position for a power bomb, but Jericho slithers away, but only to meet an oncoming super kick from Jey Uso. Jericho staggers back. AJ and Jey Uso, they gather themselves. They charge together at Jericho, eliminating him, and he's the first man eliminated from the Royal Rumble. Jey Uso and Big Boom AJ turn to face each other, and AJ gives a big boom, and Jey Uso gives a yeet. Boom, yeet, boom, yeet. And this continues until number 6 comes out.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. Cause they love him in London and Paris and Tokyo, America, Scotland and Canada and Mexico. They say I believe.
Number 6, say his name and he appears. Joe Hendry is in the Royal Rumble. He gets onto the apron, the crowd's waving his hands from side to side with Joe Hendry, and he gets into the ring and he goes face to face with Jey Uso and Big Boom AJ. Hendry takes the crowd's reaction in, he's clapping along with the fans, going, we believe, and then AJ's giving a yeet, and Big AJ brings the boom, and they start exchanging strikes with each other. Like, as Jey throws a punch, they chant yeet, AJ throws a punch, they say boom, Joe Hendry throws a punch, they say we believe, or whatever. And Okada and Bryan are just in the corner, doing their thing, as the crowd is getting going for the free catchphrase merchants, as number 7 then comes out. Uh-oh. Entry number 7 is last year's Royal Rumble winner, the Ring General. Gunther, he's vowed to go back-to-back to get another shot at his WWE Championship at WrestleMania, and he's not here to have fun like the other men in this ring are. He immediately gets into the ring, he drops Jey Uso with a big boot. Then Gunther gets in the face of Big Boom AJ, and Big Boom AJ ain't backing down from Gunther until Gunther drops him with a big chop, and then he eliminates him to a chorus of boos. Gunther then turns his attention to Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry tries to fight back against Gunther, before Gunther takes him down with a powerbomb, and he also disposes of Joe Hendry to an even louder chorus of boos. Gunther mouths off at both of the men on the outside. He says, 2 idiots, okay? So many idiots in my ring in the Royal Rumble. And he turns around, and Okada rises to his feet behind Gunther. Gunther slowly turns, and he goes face to face with Okada. First time ever stare down between the two men. They exchange some stiff chops, with Gunther dropping the Rainmaker before Daniel Bryan attempts to get in at him. And Bryan also eats a number of hard Gunther chops, surviving, but entry number 8 makes his way out to the ring after Gunther dominates during his time.
It's a shameful thing, you've lost your head. A careless man who could wind up dead. You wear your sin like it's some kind of pride.
Number 8, it's another former Royal Rumble winner, the 2012 Royal Rumble winner, Sheamus. Sheamus rushes to the ring, he immediately hits a big knee on Gunther, he rocks the Ring General, and then a bro kick does take Gunther off his feet. Sheamus then goes face to face with Daniel Bryan, the man he beat for the World Championship 13 years ago. Sheamus and Bryan exchange hard forearms. Sheamus tosses Bryan over the top, but Bryan lands on the apron, and Sheamus delivers the 10 beats at the Bowdron to Daniel Bryan before him and Okada go face to face. Sheamus and Okada go at it. Bryan is resting, as is Gunther and Jay. No more eliminations take place, and then number 9 makes his way out. Entering his first Royal Rumble, it's Trick Williams. Trick enters the ring. He immediately gets into it with Daniel Bryan. He takes Bryan down with a trick shot before him and Jey Uso go face to face. They exchange strikes. Trick catches a super kick attempt and he takes Jey Uso down. Trick's getting all fired up. He tosses his sunglasses into the crowd. He then leaps onto Gunther, the man who he's wrestling on Raw, either on Monday night or soon. Can't remember if I officially announced that match or not. And yeah, Trick has momentum on his side. He then also takes down Sheamus. He's all fired up. No more eliminations do occur though. And then number 10 makes his way out.
It's a new day. Yes, it is.
It couldn't be a Royal Rumble without him. Kofi Kingston in at number 10. Though his mind hasn't exactly been all there recently. He lost to the fucking Miz 24 hours ago. He gets into the ring, he takes out Trick Williams with a big springboard, and he's getting all fired up. He hits a boom drop on a downed Okada and Daniel Bryan. And then he goes to nail Trouble in Paradise on Gunther, but Gunther catches it, he reverses it into a Boston Crab. He locks Kofi into the submission. Obviously he can't win with that in a Royal Rumble, but it inflicts pain on Kofi's back. And then as Gunther's got Kofi in the Boston Crab, Sheamus comes across. He starts drubbing blows on Gunther's head, and Gunther drops Kofi, and he begins chopping Sheamus back, which does eventually lead to Gunther eliminating Sheamus from the Royal Rumble. As Gunther's third elimination, he then gets into it with Daniel Bryan. Okada and Trick get into it. Jey and Kofi resting up. No eliminations left, and number 11 makes his way out. And for number 11 is Sami Zayn. He's looking to shock the world and win this match. He's been eyeing up Bobby Lashley's World Heavyweight Championship for a number of weeks now. Can he get the job done? He rushes to the ring. He immediately drops Kofi Kingston with a haluva kick. He then goes after Okada, and we get a Sami Zayn and Okada face-off, which takes up most of the time during this little portion of the match. And it ends with Okada dropping Sami with the Rainmaker, welcoming him to the match. We get more Gunther and Okada. I want to do as much of that as possible. And Okada manages to rock Gunther, staggering him with a big drop kick, with Okada, the man on his feet, taking it to most of the men in the match, as entrant number 12 makes his way out. Another man making his first Royal Rumble appearance, the former Intercontinental Champion, Switchblade Jay White. He's looking to take the next step in his career. He lost the championship to John Cena on the Raw Netflix premiere, but can he do one better and step up and try and win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania? He immediately rushes to the ring. He drops Trick Williams with a Blade Runner before he then eliminates Trick Williams from the match. Jay then comes face to face with Okada, two men mouthing off of each other. There's a lot of history here between these two men. And they start exchanging strikes, with Jay getting Okada in position for the Blade Runner, but he turns around, as he's adjusting Okada, he turns around, eats a super kick from Jey Uso, and Jey Uso also drops Okada with a super kick, and he hits running hip attacks in the corner on Kofi and Sami and Bryan and Gunther, with the Yeet Man, the man standing tall, as number 13 makes his way out. It's the Grand Jury's Damian Priest. He enters at number 13. The unlucky number, but probably lucky for someone like him, I guess. He immediately drops Jay with a big boot, and he leaves him laying with a South of Heaven choke slam. He joins the fray, going after Jay White. Sami Zayn, meanwhile, gets back to his feet. He nails Daniel Bryan with a haluva kick, but he can't quite get Bryan over the top. Priest attempts to get the elimination on Bryan, like help Sammy out, but Bryan starts drilling stiff elbows into the side of Priest's head, like knocking him back. Bryan gets back into the ring. Him and Priest go at it. No more eliminations take place, and then number 14 makes his way out. The People's Champion is here. The television champion. He comes through the crowd, Kevin Owens does, holding his belt up high, you know, slapping hands at fans. There's probably some fans that'll be happy to see him. But, yeah, he sees Sami Zayn in the ring and he starts smiling at him. And Sami's looking on, like, disappointedly, shaking his head, going, "Oh, Kev, what the fuck you doing?" Kevin gets into the ring. He gets into it with Jey Uso. He drops Jey Uso with a stunner before he then turns to face Sami, and he sort of smiles at him and he's like, "Come on, give me a hug." And Sami just shakes his head, looking disappointed at Kevin Owens. And Kevin sort of like looks at him like, "Well, come on." But before they can hug, they're jumped by Jay White and Gunther. And then Jay and Gunther face off. And Gunther drops Jay White with a big boot. And yeah, no eliminations occur. Number 15 makes his way out. The other half of the ECW Tag Team Champions, Big Jim, makes his way out at number 15. He rushes in. He hits a big whisper in the wind. And he takes out Gunther before he and Jay go face to face with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, he's like gets in the face of both the Usos. He goes, "Yeah, come on, I'll take you both on." He goes, "Sammy's got my back. Come on, Sammy. Sammy, where are you?" And like the camera turns to Sammy and Sammy's like watching on. Like he considers it. But he then sees Kevin Owens like eat super kick after super kick after super kick from the Usos, and he's like, "Nah, actually, I think I'm good. I'll stay down here, thanks." Meanwhile, Kofi, he gets into a fight with Okada. Okada drops Kofi with a Rainmaker, and he tosses Kofi over the top rope, but Kofi lands on the apron. He like shoves Okada back, trying to fight his way back into the ring. When Jay White flies in, he shoves Kofi up the apron, and Kofi lands on the announce table, and he avoids the elimination. You know, in typical Kofi Kingston fashion, he leaps from the apron onto the announce table. And, yeah, Gunther gets into it with Damian Priest while this is all happening, and Gunther chops Damian Priest, and he eliminates Big Damian Priest from the Royal Rumble. And as he does, like, he goes out the side of the ring that Kofi's on. So, like, Kofi's on the announce table, Priest gets dumped out that side of the ring. But he's angry about his elimination. He, like, grabs the steel steps that I guess have been readjusted since the opening match. And he tosses them to the floor. And that's very inconvenient for Kofi, because Kofi at this point has stepped off the announce table and he's on the barricade. So he was going to, you know, do the spot Logan Paul did in real life, where he was going to jump from the barricade to the steps and get back into the ring. But now he can't do that because the steps are gone. So he must find another way back in. And Kofi, like, tight walks all across the barricade. He heads towards the other set of steel steps at the entrance, and he readies himself to jump when entrant number 16 makes his way out. It's the man who's been the thorn at the side of the New Day recently, Neville, enters at number 16. He slowly walks down the ramp, and he sort of stops when he reaches the bottom. He just stares daggers through Kofi as he stood on the barricade. And Kofi's look of determination on making this leap, it suddenly changes. Like, he sees Neville and all of a sudden he's, like, shaken. And Kofi's just there, like, Neville's just staring at him, like, gesturing towards the steps, like, "Go on, jump." And Kofi, he does go for the jump. He's clearly shaken up by the presence of Neville. He lands on the steps, but he immediately slips off. He can't quite find his feet, and he falls to the floor. And Kofi Kingston is eliminated. The credit for the elimination does technically go to Jay White, because he was the one who shoved him onto the announce table. But yeah, Kofi is out. Neville sort of just looks down at him, shaking his head like pathetic, as he immediately gets into the ring, jumps on Sami Zayn. He lays into Sami Zayn, you know, looking for revenge on the man who took his US title back at SummerSlam. Jimmy Uso attempts for a super kick on Neville, but Neville grabs his leg. He sort of twists it, and he grounds Jimmy, similar to what he did to Big E. Jay attempts to come to the aid of his brother. Gunther cuts him off, and it does end with both Usos being sent to the back. Gunther eliminates Jey Uso before Neville disposes of Big Jim. So no Yeet Mania in this timeline, I'm afraid. Gunther and Neville share a look. Like they seemingly have a look of respect with each other. But, it's Gunther and Neville, so they're never going to be friendly. And they immediately start laying in stiff strikes on each other. Kevin Owens just watches on, he's sort of like, you see him, imagine he's like sat down in one corner, Sammy's laid out in the other corner of the ring, and Kev's watching them fight, and he sort of turns over to Sammy's end, so you see him like start scooting his way over to Sammy, and he goes, hey, we should jump on him, and Kevin Owens gets to his feet, ready to jump Neville, Okada wipes him out of a big clothesline, Bryan, gets to work stomping on Sammy's end, and Bryan, Okada, and Gunther, the three men on their feet, getting into it, as number 17 makes his way out. Number 17 is the former Imperium man, Giovanni Vinci. He hits his poses, he hits his Veni Vidi Vinci on the way to the ring, and this only infuriates Gunther. He's like, come on, get into the ring. Okay, stop wasting time, you idiot. And as Gunther is waiting for Vinci, like calling him into the ring, he's jumped from behind by Daniel Bryan and eliminated. Gunther is absolutely livid. Vinci reaches the bottom of the ramp and Gunther immediately wipes him out. Bryan is celebrating, the crowd going, yes, yes, yes. But Bryan is then grabbed from behind and eliminated himself by Okada. The crowd is silenced. Bryan has once again been eliminated from the Royal Rumble. Gunther turns around, he sees Daniel Bryan on the floor, and he quickly rushes back to ringside. He boots Bryan down. Referee, trying to send Gunther to the back, he tosses them all away. He lays stiff chops into the chest of Daniel Bryan, who he's got pinned up against the apron. A very uncharacteristic sore loser assault from a man like Gunther. And eventually Gunther is escorted to the back by referees and shouting to Daniel Bryan, going, that's what you deserve. That's what you deserve. And meanwhile, Vinci enters the ring after the chaos calms down. And number 18 then makes his way out. Batten down the hatches, Drew McIntyre is the next man on his way out. He immediately slides into the ring, he drops Giovanni Vinci with a Claymore, he then kips up and Okada is there, and Drew McIntyre and Okada go face to face. Drew mouths off to him, he sort of shoves him away, Okada returns with a forearm, and that drops Drew McIntyre. Okada is now the only man on his feet, he nails the Rainmaker pose. But before we can grab anybody, Jay White appears, he goes low on Okada, and he then plants a Blade Runner on Okada, and then he gets into the face of Neville. Jay White and Neville then get into a fight. The IC champion, the US champion, for a while last year, they were both champions at the same time, and but there's no eliminations occurring, and then number 19 makes his way to the ring. Entering at number 19, it's NXT's Oba Femi. He swaggers his way down to the ring, given his walk before he gets into the ring, and he goes face to face with Neville and Jay White. And the two dastardly men sort of give each other a look, we've got to work together to take this guy out. And they start double teaming the ruler, but he overpowers both men. He drops Neville with a big pop-up powerbomb, firing himself up as he takes Jay White down with probably a big double chest slap. And then he fires himself up, and then he turns face to face with Drew McIntyre. We get a Drew McIntyre and Oba Femi Hoss fight. They just both start exchanging big heavy hits. Oba swats Drew away as he attempts a Claymore, and he drops him with a big boot. Oba then grabs Giovanni Vinci. He tosses Giovanni Vinci over, eliminating the Italian man. And Oba Femi is celebrating his elimination when he's jumped by Kevin Owens from behind. Kevin Owens attempts to dump Oba Femi out of the match, and he's he got his 1 foot off the ground. He's trying to get him over. He's going, Sammy, come on, help me. But the camera cuts to Sami Zayn and he's just knocked out in the corner. And Oba Femi ends up overpowering KO. He grabs him and Kevin screams. He's in Oba Femi's clutches going, "No, Sami, come on, help me." But it's too late. Oba Femi tosses Kevin Owens over and he's eliminated. We see Sami start to regain consciousness here. You can see he's trying to hide his laughter at what just happened as Kevin Owens is moaning at the referee saying he needs to get back in there. The people need me to win this Royal Rumble match. But the referees are like, "No, come on, you gotta go, Kev." And yeah, he eventually does leave, and then number 20 makes his way out. At the announce table, Samoa Joe calmly removes his headset, his suit jacket and his shirt. He then tears off his pants, revealing his shorts to a big pop. The Samoan submission machine is back and he gets into the ring. He goes face to face with Oba Femi. The crowd loses their mind as we get stiff chops between Joe and Oba Femi. Joe staggering Oba before he actually takes the NXT man down with a big uranagi. He then turns around. Sami Zayn attempts to dive on Joe, but Joe, of course, he sidesteps that. And Sami, you can see he just chuckles to himself as he plants his way down. But he actually lands on Oba Femi. Joe does the walkaway spot on Sami, and Sami lands on Oba. The next man to get in Joe's face is Okada. Who'd have thought we'd have seen this face-off ever, let alone in a WWE ring? Okada goes for a Rainmaker, but Joe turns that into a snap suplex of his own. He groggies Okada. He takes him down with another big suplex. And Joe just takes it all and is the crowd shouting, "Joe, Joe, Joe, Joe," before number 21 makes his way out. He's here, the greatest of all time, one final time, makes his way down to the ring for a Royal Rumble match. John Cena sprints his way down, he slides in where Samoa Joe is waiting for him. John Cena, Samoa Joe, first time ever in a WWE ring. Two men who broke into this industry together, one on his final one who's stepping back into the ring for the first time in years. They get into it, Cena hoists Joe up, he nails him with a big AA. Joe then staggers back to his feet as a big clothesline from John Cena does eliminate Samoa Joe. Joe gets back to his feet on the outside, he smiles and he nods his head at John Cena after he's eliminated, and he does just go and sit back down at the commentary desk. Meanwhile, John Cena is jumped by Jay White. Jay White attempts to eliminate John Cena, but he lands on the apron. He charges at John Cena. Cena picks him up onto his shoulders as he does so. He tosses him over the top with the attitude adjustment, and he eliminates the former Intercontinental Champion. Cena then gets back into the ring. He's on a warpath. He drops Neville, Drew McIntyre, and Sami Zayn all with big clotheslines. And he then gets into the face of Oba Femi. Oba Femi chops John Cena. He then grabs him for a huge powerbomb, but Cena manages to, as he's in the position for the powerbomb, he hoists Oba onto his shoulders. He nails a huge AA. As the crowd goes crazy, John Cena fires himself up. But his hype is then stopped as he can feel the presence of a man standing behind him. It's Okada. The crowd loses their minds, two of the greatest to ever do it. An unexpected face-to-face. John Cena attempts a clothesline on Okada. Okada ducks it. He grabs him around the waist. He nails a huge Rainmaker on John Cena. He's the only man left on his feet. He attempts to get an elimination on Neville, but nobody's eliminated, and number 22 makes his way out.
They wanna talk, well, what they talking about? I see them running their mouth, but they ain't talking loud. I'm taking over the game, now let me show you how.
The self-proclaimed Golden Prophet, Angelo Dawkins, is number 22, and he's looking to make a big impact in this Rumble. He enters the ring, he drops Sami Zayn with a pounce right away, before he then gets into it with Okada, which doesn't get the typical, Okada's in there and he's face-to-face with this guy, because it's Angelo Dawkins. Meanwhile, Drew McIntyre, he sees John Cena slowly getting to his feet, and he's like, waiting patiently for him to get to his feet before he waits for the right time to drop him with a claymore. He shouts at Cena, he's like, your retirement tour ends here, John. I won't let you steal this opportunity from me. He then sees Oba Femi get to his feet, and Drew and Oba get back into another big beefy exchange, which ends with Drew headbutting Oba. Oba staggers up against the ropes off the headbutt, before a big claymore sends Oba Femi packing. Drew and Neville, they then begin to work together. They keep John Cena grounded and Sami Zayn. The dangerous pairing, Neville and Drew McIntyre, continue to work together, taking down everybody in the match, but they're very obviously not built to last. And as soon as everybody's been left laying by both men, Drew drops Neville with a big claymore of himself, kipping up, and he like screams at the crowd saying, it's my moment, I'm going to WrestleMania, that's my championship, it's not being ripped away from me again.
Whose house?
Number 23, the very last man Drew McIntyre wanted to see right now, Swerve Scott, the man that Drew took out. Drew stares daggers through Swerve as Swerve slowly makes his way down to the ring, just locking eyes with Drew that entire time, and Drew goes, come on, get your ass in my ring, you son of a bitch. And Swerve doesn't immediately enter the ring. He tackles Drew to the ground. He starts raining punches down on Drew. He then eventually lets up on Drew. He drops him with a house call. He calls Drew back up. He drops him with another house call. Drew uses the ropes to pull himself to his feet, but a third house call on Drew as he's up against the ropes sends Drew McIntyre out, and he's been eliminated by Swerve. Swerve mouths off at Drew on the outside. He goes, that's what you did, okay? That's what you deserve, bitch. Nobody puts me on myself. Nobody takes my ass out and gets away with it. He then turns around, and Swerve and John Cena are face to face. A lot of history between these two, and they once again get into it, probably for the final time. Cena gets Swerve up for the yay, but as he tosses him off, Swerve lands on his feet. He sort of just dusts off his shoulder. He laughs at John Cena as he turns around. And Swerve then goes for a house call on John Cena, but Cena catches his foot, and he catches him to the ground, and Cena just sort of shrugs him off. He dusts his shoulder off as well, and Swerve smiles back, nodding and goes, okay, yep, fair, understandable. Cena is then dropped by Angelo Dawkins, and Dawkins also pounces right on Swerve, and Okada and Neville are getting into it in the corner. Sammy's recovering, and then number 24 makes his way out. It's the former World Heavyweight Champion at number 24, Montez Ford. He rushes to the ring, head full of steam. He immediately climbs onto the top rope. He enters the match with a big blockbuster, taking down Okada. He's getting all fired up. He starts shaking the ropes, doing the Batista rope shake. And he turns around, and who does he spot but Angelo Dawkins? Ted sees red at the sight of Angelo Dawkins, and Dawkins spots him. He's like, oh fuck. He slides under the bottom rope, but Ted slides out underneath, chasing after Angelo Dawkins, and they sort of run around the ring for a bit. And then Ted eventually catches up to Dawkins. He takes him down. He tosses him into the ring steps at ringside. He continues the assault on Dawkins on the outside before he grabs Dawkins, throws him back into the ring, and Dawkins is quickly dumped out by Okada. Dawkins tries to get back at Montez, and he's like, Tez gets to get back in the ring, and Dawkins pulls him off the apron trying to punch him, and the referees finally separate the two former tag team partners, and Ted's like, yo, take his ass away. Take his bum ass out of my ring. And Tez finally gets into the ring. He takes it to Neville. Tez attempts the elimination on Neville, but the crowd is like, oh, as somebody slides into the ring. Angelo Dawkins has fought his way through the referees. He grabs Montez Ford from behind, and he quickly dumps Montez Ford out of the ring to a big chorus of boos. Dawkins then immediately rushes up the ramp. He's hiding behind the referees as Tez continues to chase after him. The referees in front of Dawkins, keeping the two men apart. That's when number 25 makes his way out. It's another man who Angelo Dawkins has wronged recently. The Samoan werewolf Jacob Fatu makes his way to the ring. Fatu does get his hands on Dawkins. He sort of just like tosses him down the ramp, where he then is fully like rolls to the feet of Montez Ford, and Montez Ford immediately leaps onto him, continuing the two men's brawl. Eventually, Nick Aldis and Bobby Roode come out. They pull their respective man away from the fight as Jacob Fatu gets into the ring, and he goes on a tear. He runs through everybody. He hits a big moonsault on John Cena, and he hits the big Jacob Fatu wiggle to a big pop. Neville, he like stumps on the back of Jacob Fatu's knee, grounding him. The same thing he did to Big E in their match a couple of weeks ago. Neville, he then calls Swerve up, and him and Swerve work together to keep the Samoan Werewolf grounded, but Jacob Fatu does rise to his feet. And of course, Neville once again have a short-lived alliance that crumbles, with him and Swerve getting into a fight with each other. Jacob Fatu instead turns his attention to Sami Zayn. He continues to maul on Sami in the corner. No more eliminations occur, and number 26 makes his way out. Representing Imperium, Ludwig Kaiser makes his way to the ring. Gunther's already been eliminated, so he must go it alone tonight. He slithers his way into the ring, and he immediately jumps on Okada. He grounds, Okada with just, your typical, like, heel offense, like, slow, like, limb working and shit. And unlike anybody else so far, Ludwig, he approaches Neville. He comes to Neville, and he's like, hey, how about we dominate? We work together. We can take everybody out here. And they spend this time just getting heat. Neville and Ludwig just walking around stomping on everybody. And Jacob Fatu does spring into life. He sort of like starts smacking himself in the face. He dives into a fight with both Ludwig and Neville. He does hold his own for a bit, but eventually the numbers game does catch up to him. Neville and Kaiser chopping him down. And the heels continue to just dominate this portion of the match. The only two men left on their feet as number 27 makes his way out. The crowd erupts as the one true chief makes his way to the ring. He storms to the ring. He immediately drops Ludwig Kaiser with a Superman punch. Neville charges at Roman, but he ducks him. He cuts Neville off with a big spear before he grabs the bastard and finally eliminates him from the match. He then backs into the corner. He goes, ooh, ah, and he rips Ludwig Kaiser in half with a spear before he's the next man to be eliminated by the tribal chief. Roman and Jacob, they share a look at each other. The two Bloodline members together in the ring. And, like, the camera focuses on Roman and Jacob's little stare down. And you can just see them both turn their heads to someone off screen. It's John Cena getting to his feet. He stands across from Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns. Roman gets into the face of John Cena. And then they both turn. And Okada walks into frame. He stands side by side with John Cena, opposite Roman Reigns. Cena and Okada, they turn to each other, they give a nod before they get into it, a big 2-on-2 brawl with the Bloodline members. John Cena topples Jacob Fatu. Okada faces off with Roman Reigns. And as John Cena drops Jacob Fatu, he turns around. Roman Reigns spears John Cena after taking down Okada. Roman fires himself up. He mouths up. He goes, nobody can touch me. I'm going to WrestleMania. And he throws his wands into the sky. But he's interrupted by the music of number 28. It's Logan Paul. Logan makes his way down to the ring. He's swigging his prime. And he's getting himself all fired up as Roman sort of just gives him a look of disgust as he makes his way down. Logan gets into the ring. He gets into the face of Roman Reigns. And he starts mouthing off at him. And Roman's like, you're running your mouth here, big man. What you doing? And Logan then like shoves Roman Reigns away. And Roman just like rubs his face. He smirks. He then smacks Logan Paul with a big stiff strike, which gets a huge pop. Roman then gets on top of Logan. He wipes him out of a big uranagi. Roman and Swerve then get into a fight. Swerve almost comes out on top of that one. You know, he's got Roman Reigns grounded. That's when Jacob Fatu flies in. He takes Swerve down before Roman and Jacob Fatu work together to eliminate the former World Heavyweight Champion. Roman and Jacob, they go to bump fists, but as they do, Logan Paul slithers in. He goes low on Roman Reigns. Logan laughs at Roman Reigns down after he goes low on him, but he notices Jacob Fatu just staring a hole through him. And he's like, oh fuck. So Logan Paul slides to the outside to avoid Jacob Fatu, and that leads to Okada almost dumping Jacob Fatu out as he's distracted with Logan, but he does manage to survive. And Logan sort of just paces around the ring. He takes his prime like it's a round break in boxing. He's swinging his prime. He's taking his time. He's firing himself all up as the fighting continues. And entrant number 29 makes his way down. LA Knight is number 29. He runs his way down to the ring, and he stops when he gets face to face with Logan Paul. LA Knight grabs Logan, he tosses him back into the ring, where Jacob Fatu immediately drops him with a big, flying crossbody or whatever. LA Knight's watching on from the outside as Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns wipe Logan Paul out, before they both toss him out to a big pop. LA Knight looks down and laughs at Logan, before he gets into the ring himself. He gets into it with John Cena. He attempts to eliminate John Cena from his final Royal Rumble, but Cena does manage to hang on, and Sami Zayn then gets into it with LA Knight. Roman and Jacob continue the attack on Okada and John Cena. They keep both men grounded. The two Bloodline members stand tall. Roman Reigns raises his wands into the sky as the countdown begins for the final time. Entrant number 30 makes his way out. Camera's focused all in on Roman Reigns. He's throwing that one in the sky. Nobody can touch me. Roman Reigns looks like he's seen a ghost, and that's because he has a ghost from his past. The ghost from his past. Seth Rollins is back, and he's entrant number 30 in the Royal Rumble. Rollins appears on the ramp. He's more serious than we tend to see him. He's not laughing, he's not dancing, he's very serious. He stares a hole through Roman Reigns as he walks his way down to the ring. Jacob Fatu begins to walk towards Seth as Seth enters the ring, but Roman just sticks his arm out. He keeps Jacob at bay. And then Roman takes a couple of paces forward and him and Seth go face to face. This is the first time I believe they've gone face to face since Seth Rollins banished Roman Reigns from SmackDown 2 years ago. Roman and Seth then start coming to blows to a huge ovation from the crowd, which does end with Seth Rollins dropping Roman Reigns with a big kick. He then spots Jacob Fatu rushing towards him. He cuts his momentum off with a big super kick. They take several big kicks to finally ground the Samoan werewolf, and then Seth does hit a big stomp to neutralize him. Seth gets all fired up. He goes fired up, the crowd's cheering him on. They're so happy to see him back. He then gets into it with Okada. They go face to face. These two men have actually faced off in New Japan a couple of months ago in a tag match, which is weird, because that's where Seth's been since SummerSlam. He's been spending his time in New Japan. Okada grabs Rollins. He goes for a Rainmaker, but Seth catches him with a big knee as Okada turns him round, before a big clothesline finally brings an end to Okada's lengthy run in the Royal Rumble. LA Knight then attempts to dump Seth Rollins over, but Rollins lands on the apron. He shoves LA Knight back before he flies into the ring with a big springboard knee, which rocks LA Knight, and then Sami Zayn flies in. Big haluva kick to LA Knight to send the megastar over the top, and he's eliminated. Seth and Sami look at each other, they give a nod of respect, before they turn to see both Bloodline members on their feet. Jacob's there, he's given a big wiggle. As Roman slowly turns to Jacob, he gives a nod to Jacob. And John Cena pulls himself to his feet, he stands alongside Seth Rollins and Sami Zayn. All five men rush together. John Cena and Sami Zayn attempting to ground Jacob Fatu, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns once again going at it. Cena and Sami drop Jacob with a big double suplex, which uses all of their energy, so they're also both out of it. Roman overpowers Seth Rollins, he nails a Superman punch. He then nails another Superman punch. He then backs into the corner for a spear. He goes, ooh, ah. As he flies in, Seth catches Roman's spear into a pedigree. And all 5 men are down in the ring. Nobody is on their feet. Who will be the first to stir? The crowd erupts as The Rock's music hits. He storms his way down to the ring. He gets into the ring. He's got the weight belt in his hand and he starts whipping Roman Reigns with the weight belt. Go, get your ass up, boy. Get your ass up. He then picks Roman Reigns up. He drops him with a rock bottom. He starts shouting and go, yeah, that's what. I'm the real tribal chief. I run things around here, not your bitch ass. But behind The Rock, Jacob Fatu rises to his feet like a monster movie. The Rock, he turns around slowly and he looks intimidated by Jacob Fatu. He goes to swing his weight belt at Jacob, but Jacob just takes the shots. He's like, cool some more. I'm going, come on, is that all you got? And The Rock sort of looks shocked. He turns around into a Superman punch. Roman Reigns then drops The Rock with a spear, and he tosses The Rock out of the ring. He wasn't in the match officially, but, for good measure. He then picks up The Rock's weight belt and just throws it at him, going, keep your ass out of our business, huh? We don't want you around here. But as Roman Reigns is distracted, mouthing off of The Rock, Seth Rollins sneaks up behind Roman, eliminating him. Roman looks up in shock at Seth, and he's going, ha 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 ha! Jacob Fatu there attempts to eliminate Seth. Seth rocks Jacob with a big knee, which staggers him back. He then calls both John Cena and Sami Zayn to help him out, and all 3 men managed to also eliminate the Samoan Werewolf from the Royal Rumble. The Rock and Roman Reigns, they're in each other's faces on the outside. And then Jacob, he rocks up. He stands alongside Roman Reigns. The Rock, he looks behind. He goes, you got your big Samoan Werewolf. Well, I've got. He turns around and there's the Tongans aren't with him. And he slowly starts to back up the ramp. And Roman and Jacob, they keep going, come on, no, you wanted to fight. Okay, but what's the matter? And The Rock starts slowly backing away, back up the ramp as Roman and Jacob keep the pressure on him, but effectively, forcing him to the back. But, as The Rock goes backstage, Jacob Fatu follows him backstage. Roman stops on the top of the ramp. He gives one little look over his shoulder, glaring a hole through Seth Rollins in the ring as he leaves to the back. The final 3 then begin to stir. Each in a different corner of the ring. You got Sami Zayn, you got John Cena, you got Seth Rollins. One of these men is going to WrestleMania. The 3 men, they take the scene in. They share looks of respect of each other before the fight continues. Sami and Seth get into it. John Cena watches on. Seth Rollins attempts to eliminate Sami, but Sami skins the cat. He fights his way back into the ring. John Cena then sneaks up behind Seth. He hoists him up for an AA. But Rollins manages to fight him off. He delivers a big clothesline to John Cena, which sends him over the top, but he lands on the apron. Cena then grabs onto Seth. He attempts to pull him over, which he does do, and both men are now on the apron. There's a strike exchange on the apron between Seth Rollins and John Cena. Cena eats a big knee from Seth. He teeters on the verge of elimination, holding onto the rope and, staggering back. But then as John Cena regains his footing, Sami flies in with a haluva kick. He nails John Cena in the face. And John Cena falls to the floor and he's eliminated. Cena looks on in shock. He's got his head in his hands as he lays on the floor. His chase for number 17 will indeed have to wait a little longer. But he did say earlier on tonight, if he doesn't win, that means somebody stepped up. And somebody must have stepped up. Cena does get to his feet though. He looks up at the WrestleMania sign hanging in the distance. He looks at Sami. He looks at Seth. He gives a nod. And he walks to the back. Sami's leg is still hanging over the top after he just hit that haluva kick on John Cena. And Seth is also watching on in shock as he's laid out on the apron as they both just watch John Cena leave. But it is now squeaky bum time. We're down to the final 2. Seth Rollins pulls himself to his feet. Him and Sami Zayn go face to face. Seth attempts to pull Sami over the top, but Sami fights him off. Seth gets back into the ring. He gets into the face of Sami. And him and Sami go forehead to forehead, nose to nose. And he goes, I don't want to have to do this, Sami. I don't want to have to do this to you, but it has to be me. It has to be me. And Sami slaps Seth Rollins in the face. He goes, come on, come on. Seth turns to Sami. He just shakes his head and he goes, fine. If that's how you want it. He then rocks Sami Zayn with a big forearm. Sami fires one back of his own. The two men, they continue their back and forth strike exchange. Seth goes to nail another big knee on Sami, but Sami catches it into an exploder suplex. Sami then backs into the corner. He gets fired up for a haluva kick as Seth staggers himself in the corner. But as he flies in, Seth hoists him over the top, but he does land on the apron. Seth nails a super kick to Sami. Sami staggers. He sort of falls to his knees. And he attempts to re-enter the ring on his hands and knees. But as his head re-enters the ropes, Seth Rollins plucks him out with a stomp. Sami falls to the floor. And Seth Rollins wins the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble. 81. Sure. Slightly worse than the Women's Royal Rumble. But I'll take that. And again, it saved my eliminations perfectly. Okada gets an adequate Rainmaker gimmick. I would have liked higher than that, to be honest, but sure. Yeah. Seth Rollins, victorious in the Royal Rumble. His stint in New Japan is over. So, in regards to him, I sent him on... Right, I'm going to completely, explain what happened out of kayfabe. After SummerSlam, I sent him away, and also went into the game and gave him a 6-month loan contract with New Japan. So, he'd been released from WWE and he was working New Japan and wrestling over there. So, his time over there has come to an end. And part of it was going to be... this is also a funny story. I was going to tie Seth going to work with New Japan into borrowing a New Japan guy for the Rumble. And that I was going to borrow Okada to have him in the Rumble and have the same Okada spot as we had here. But contract season came up, and we were a year late on it, but we did the Ospreay and Okada leaving New Japan thing. So and Ospreay, he signed with AEW, so don't expect to see him. I didn't want to sign everybody because that would just make the safe boring for me. I've got too many mouths to feed, and I've got no challenges. So I went into the game and moved Ospreay over to AEW. But yeah, Seth Rollins is here. He's won the Royal Rumble. He's back. The feeling is back. Challenge Run isn't the same when Seth Rollins isn't the main character. He is to us what Hangman is to AEW in real life. When he's around and he's the main focus, things are just better. And yeah. Also, after we did the Yeet thing, Yeetgate in real life, I toyed, two, because there's 3 World Title matches at Mania, so it had to be one of the 3. 2 other different people winning this as a surprise. And being oh, this is my version of Yeet winning, you didn't see that coming. But I thought it would just muddy too much. And I I've had Io and Seth winning these Rumbles penciled in since last, December 2023. And, it being, Io and Seth, the 2 protagonists, the 2 people on my fucking channel avatar, winning the Rumbles in the same night. That just felt right. So I didn't change in the end. I'm not going to say who the other potential surprise Rumble winners were, because then that will give away who's going to the World Title matches at WrestleMania. But yes, Seth Freakin, he points up at the WrestleMania sign. And we do get the shot, him looking up at the skybox where the world champions are. You see Warden in there, you see Bobby Lashley in there, but there's an empty chair in the middle. So a certain somebody either didn't show up or has gone home. '98 show, yeah. Main eventing with Rumbles is always kind of bleh. If I main evented with this WWE title match, obviously the show would have got 100. But, I like main eventing with the Rumble. Fucking sue me. Because what matters more is what you thought of the show. Do let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you on the other side for the press conference. I forgot to update my game. There was one of the updates is they stopped asking you so much about off nights that people had, but I didn't do it, so yeah, they're still going to ask me about the off night Cora Jade had in the Royal Rumble. Everyone has them. Get off her back. Same with Drew, yeah. WWE did very well last month for the US market. All your competitors were left in the dust. Yeah, it's no surprise we dominate. We're giving fans great shows. Word is that Mickie James will become a mentor to Kairi Sane. Is that a good combination? Mickie will be a great mentor, yeah, sure. We're making effort to keep Meiko Satomura on the roster. Ideas coming towards the end of the final month. So funny story about her is she's retiring. So her contract coming up literally ahead of March 2025, which is when she's retiring. So like it's just perfect. I mean, I'll keep her as part of the family, I suspect, but I don't know if she'll be wrestling much more. Wow, a lot of Joshis were happy with that. Most of these aren't even on my roster. All of them aren't on my roster, in fact. A recent vote had AJ Styles Veteran Wrestler of the Year. I would have maybe got a different choice, but nah, I'm pleased for him. Good boy, AJ. Tam Pax is coming to the end of her deal. She will definitely be here. Yeah, she's a big part. So nothing eventful, But yes, I'll see you next time, where we begin the road to WrestleMania and the road to Roadblock. And hopefully we'll see and hear from our men's Royal Rumble winner on Raw. But yes, the road to WrestleMania is now upon us. And hopefully I'll see you then.